Elon Musk appeared on screen to say this.
Whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die. You either fight back or you die.
He's not real. He's not real.
And that's
not a real person.
the truth.
That's not a real person.
Today, Elon, I think the British public are telling the world that they're ready to fight back.
Photoshop.
Good. Yes.
Well, many of those cheering protesters will have travelled to Saturday's rally with the words of Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, ringing in their ears.
If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea.
Uh-oh.
You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. And this world, you have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
It's not for me or anybody else to judge how a bereaved wife and mother grieves. Nobody can blame her for being angry and distraught. But it's fair to say that for many, her words only compounded a sense of righteous fury and of us versus them. There are two powerful narratives in direct conflict right now, both in the UK and the US. One side sees an existential fight against the erosion of their culture and their values by people who revile both. The other can only see intolerance and bigotry. As always, the truth is probably on a middle ground that's very rapidly collapsing. But so too is the moral high ground of those on the left who cling to the idea that hatred and division are only conservative problems. Rabble-rousing rapper Bob Vylan smeared Charlie Kirk at a gig this weekend and then issued a cowardly denial.
Yo, real quick. At no point during yesterday's show was Charlie Kirk's death celebrated. At no point whatsoever.
I want to dedicate this next one to an absolute piece of shit of a human being. The pronouns was, were.
I did call him a piece of shit. That much is true.
Pronouns was, were. Ooh.
But at no point was his death celebrated. If it was, go find me a quote.
Because if you chat shit, you will get banned. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, a piece of shit.
Shameful.
I mean, can't blame people.
And pathetic, and it turned out a shocking
pathetic?
liar too. We all
is that
saw very
pathetic?
clearly what Vylan said and did. Now, he doesn't even have the balls to stand by it. People like Bob Vylan want you to believe that they are the good guys who only want peace and compromise. The fact is, they're as much to blame for this precarious state of division as the very people they think they're so much better than. In a moment, we'll debate all this with a stellar panel. We'll begin with Peter Navarro, President Trump's senior counselor for trade, and also the new book, I Went to Prison, So You Won't Have to. Peter Navarro, thank you very much indeed for joining me on Uncensored. When you hear a rapper, it's good to have you, albeit in a shocking week, frankly. The last 7 days, I think, have shocked everybody. When you see a rap star brazenly celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk and then pretending that he hadn't, what does that tell you about some of the reaction to his death?
Accessory after the fact in the case of him. Here's the thing, Piers, and this is what's so disturbing. I want people around the world to understand that this is not a symmetric war, left versus right. There's a disturbing trend towards asymmetries in terms of what happened. Now, you think about this horrible, horrible assassination of Charlie Kirk. That's one in a series, and the worst in the series, but it's just one in a series of attacks on the right by the left, going back to the ascendance of Donald Trump in 2016. And let me break that down for you. I was in the White House for 4 years during the Trump term. I was one of only 2 other people who served the president the whole time. Piers, and virtually every person at the senior level I served with was a target in the ensuing years by the left. Myself, Steve Bannon, went to prison defending the Constitution. Both of us were sent. Everyone involved in sending us to prison was a Democrat. You had 4 attempts in different courtrooms to put Donald Trump in prison, interfere with his election, and 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump. You have Charlie Kirk murdered in cold blood, and then others. I was here, 9/11 is a very sacred day for us here. I'm in New York City. I came up for the reading of the names of the people who perished in that horrible attack. And Rudy Giuliani was sitting there in the front row in front of me. He'd just been in a terrible accident. His T9 thoracic spine was crushed, but he was there. And the left has bankrupted America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani. They've taken away the bar cards of Jeff Clark and John Eastman, and even people who weren't put into prison are spending millions of dollars. So the asymmetry, my point here is that there's this asymmetry, and now the left wants to do kumbaya and come
Wait, who the fuck is this guy again?
in the middle and all this consensus stuff. And my message to them, it's why I wrote this book. It's a warning that we must hold these people accountable through legal means or peers. They'll do it again. They'll do it again and again and again. And you just listen to Jasmine Crockett or Maxine Waters or Chuck Schumer or AOC or Bernie Sanders. All of these bastards call us fascists with a straight face when they're shooting at us, putting us in prison, and using the American justice system and politicians in black robes to do all sorts of damage to us. And that's the state of play here, Piers. And if you've got a better solution than holding these people accountable so they won't do it again, I'd love to hear it. Because this isn't New Testament turn the other cheek time. This is Old Testament legal justice, not lawfare justice.
Is there a danger, I don't disagree with a lot of what you've said, but is there a danger that in some of the rhetoric that is now being used by your side, and as a...
It's crazy. Peter Navarro, ex-wife's house trade advisor Peter Navarro sentenced to 4 months in prison on 2 counts of contempt of Congress. Jury found the defendant failed to comply with the subpoena from Congressional Committee investigating January 6th. All right, so January 6th Capitol attack. Former White House advisor Peter K. Navarro, 74, was sentenced 4 months in prison for refusing to appear before Congress, giving testimony, produced documents as required by a subpoena he received from the United States House Select Committee. The announcement was made, Navarro was found guilty by a jury on September the 7th, 2023, of 1 contempt in his refusal to appear. Okay, so he keeps not appearing to these. According to the evidence presented at trial, the Select Committee issued a subpoena to Navarro on February 9th, 2022. The subpoena required him to appear and produce documents to the Select Committee and to appear for a deposition. When refused to produce. Okay, so he's just because he. Okay. He's just refusing to cooperate. That's why he was sentenced to 4 months in prison, because it was refusing to cooperate in the January 6th.
It's a wide side with many different types of people on it. But when you hear Elon Musk, for example, talking about the need to fight back against violence, which many have taken to mean be violent as well, what do you feel about the tone that should be deployed? You've been very careful to say there you think it should be done legally, but others are ramping up the rhetoric to imply that the only way to deal with violence is potentially to use violence themselves. US national debt is more than $37 trillion, and these are uncertain times for the global economy.
Yeah, I don't think he's not going to disavow anything. He's going to actually. He's probably one of the ones like Sam Hyde that's actually going to encourage the violence from the right to continue. Like he's already full of shit. He's all they're going to do is pretend as if every single person on the left actually didn't mean their condolences or didn't mean their disavowance of political violence and actually advocated for this.
$1,000.
With zero proof, but typical Republican conservative cuck fucking behavior.
Request a free information kit now. Just text PEERS, P-I-E-R-S, to 989898. Make right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy before the end of September. Text my name PEERS to 989898. Claim your eligibility and get your free information pack. Again, just text PEERS to 989898.
Well, a couple of things to say. I think it's extremely important for people to measure their words. I mean, I'm seeing now coverage on the left of this, and
measure your
kumbaya.
Measure your words. Okay. Here's what's going to happen in this entire fucking show, I'm thinking. The left or the right individuals probably going to come in defense of Charlie Kirk, and people who are upset about what happened to him are probably going to talk about measure of language and bullshit that the left needs to do. But the most important person, like, in the world, the most powerful seat in the world, the person who's supposed to be the leader of the free world, the leader of this nation, had the prime opportunity to bring everybody together to calm the temperature down. What did the President of the United States do? He used more rhetoric, dangerous rhetoric, to blame the entire incident on the radical left without no proof. We don't know a party affiliation. It sounds more like this dude is more so a groper or graper or however you fucking call him.
And things like that, and mourn the loss of Charlie Kirk. There's always a but. There's always a but, whether it's the New York Times or some rapper or anything in between. As soon as you put that but in there, that's a signal to the left that it's okay to kill people. It's subtle, but it's a signal. So we've got to be very careful there. Now,
I guess Piers is one of those, he's just letting him go on and letting him rant, but I think there needs to be some understanding that this guy doesn't even know what party affiliation like the shooter, was it Tyler Robinson was. His last registered vote, he was not even affiliated with anybody, with no party. If anything, he's been chronically online with political memes and shit. Once again, this sounds like somebody who was just looking for some shit to get into. Like, it's quite possible that this guy served no fucking political party and just wanted to act out because he didn't like Charlie Kirk. That's highly likely.
To Mr. Musk, Elon, come on, let's get real, brother. X is the biggest cesspool of violent rhetoric in the country other than Facebook. And if you want to make a real contribution, Elon, clean that damn thing up. And I'll tell you, Piers, here's what should be done on X and Facebook and everywhere else. No more anonymity, no more hiding behind the mask of anonymity on social media. You have to respect the idea that if you won't say something to somebody's face in a civil setting, then you damn well shouldn't be allowed to say it on X or Facebook or...
The Republic, here he goes again. Here these people go attacking freedom of speech. You should be able to remain anonymous. People who do this shit, I mean, like, you should be able to remain anonymous, regardless of how shitty, how trollish your fucking tweets are, regardless of how heinous the fucking tweets or the messages are. Everybody should have the right to remain anonymous. Because if you don't, you get doxxed. You might just simply disagree with, because everybody knows your full government name. Now they're gonna fucking dox you because you disagree with something that some extreme right neo-Nazi party people say.
Instagram.
So
and right now, the toxicity level of social media is beyond the pale. And it's not just people in this country who are spewing that. It's like foreigners.
And whose fault is that? Like, whose fault that it became so toxic? It's not anybody from the left. Look online, the toxicity is coming from the fucking right. Like, everywhere you turn, it's just toxicity. This is they're breeding this shit.
Are swarming right now our social media, propagandizing. So Elon, you know, there's a project for you, brother. Get us to Mars, clean up social media. I don't know which one's harder for you, Elon, but do them both.
The governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, has described social media as a cancer, that it has the same impact on society as a cancer. And he's explained that in his eyes, it's very addictive and very toxic, and behaves like a disease. Would you go along with that?
No, he's wrong. It's Ebola. It kills. We've seen it. It's like, I mean, look, that assassin, let's think about this. He's 22 years old. Where was his worldview formed? Gaming, where he's like virtually killing tens of thousands of people in his life on these violent games, and listening to social media.
Maybe we should all just go to fucking church where we can read about how fucking heinous and, you know, how fucking evil the fucking people in the Bible were. You know, we want to keep talking about Call of Duty and shit like that. We have to be very careful when we talk about wordings, because if you want to go talk about the book was pretty fucking violent in the first half, right? It was really pretty fucking violent. So I mean, a lot of people, I feel like I know where he's gonna go with that, and I really think that people around his age, because it's always the old fucks that always want to bring up video games, should be really, really careful, because the things they try to shove down our throats as we were children, when we actually learned the fucking truth and read a little bit deeper into those fucking verses, with some heinous homophobic bullshit happening in that fucking Bible. Dangerous rhetoric that's also used for war. If anything, that dangerous rhetoric probably played a part in Charlie Kirk's undoing. Because this is something that Charlie Kirk believed in, that dangerous rhetoric.
And look, remember what he said on his bullets, fascist. Who said that? Bernie Sanders, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer, like Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh winds up having somebody come to his home to try to kill him after Chuck Schumer encouraged that. So I want to get back to this idea. I want Piers, like, I literally went to prison, okay?
For 4 months.
For
4 months.
defending the Constitution.
Like, he's saying it as if he went to prison for like a year.
Constitutional separation of powers. I got a subpoena from an illegally formed Democrat committee formed by Nancy Pelosi out for a witch hunt on Donald Trump for 50 years.
Can we go ahead and say right there, a witch hunt for Donald Trump? He's referring to the January 6th committee that was formed to investigate the actions of what happened on January 6th. And the claim was that Donald Trump incited an insurrection that happened at the Capitol, which did happen. There was an attempted insurrection at the Capitol. I like so many times so far in this conversation, I've already discredited this individual.
The Department of Justice said clearly, senior White House advisors like me should not honor a congressional subpoena because of a concept known as executive privilege. That's the idea that confidential communications between advisors like me and a president are protected by executive privilege, which is something that goes back to George Washington. And I wind up going through a process where a Democrat majority by straight party lines in the House holds me in contempt. It goes to a Justice Department run by Democrats, Merrick Garland on down, and it's a misdemeanor, Piers, mind you, and rather than simply call me up and say, hey, self-surrender, they do a circus raid with 5 armed FBI agents. They take down me and my fiance, who's on the cover here. They perp walk her. Tell CNN in advance that it's going to happen. They make it a big spectacle. And the agent, Walter Giardina, who put me in charge, turns out to be the same guy who greenlit the Steele dossier against President Trump, which was fake. He said it was real, allegedly, whistleblowers. And that spawned the whole Russia hoax. And then Piers, you can't make this up. I go to court thinking, well, look, I did what I was supposed to do. I'll be able to argue that in court. No. The judge, Ahmed Maida, said, nope, you can't argue that. I had no defense by the time I got into trial. And then the District of Columbia, I don't know if you know this, Piers, but it voted, I think it was 92% for Joe Biden. It's the bluest of blue places in America. The jury pool's drawn from that. The judge allowed anti-Trump people on the jury. They convicted me. And then rather than let me, again, you can't make this up, rather than let me be free pending appeal, which is always the case in these kind of cases, they denied me that. And so I spent 4 months in a Miami prison. I was there, get this, Piers, the director of the Bureau of Prisons kept me there 42 days longer than the law provides because she could, a Democrat. My case is under appeal. It's going to the Supreme Court. It's like a sleepy case, but it's a landmark constitutional case. And if I lose that case, Piers, every single senior White House advisor going forward, regardless of party, Democrat or Republican, will face the same kind of choice that I had to face, which is honor my oath of office, do my duty, respect executive privilege, risk prison, and wind up in prison as it would turn out, or bend the knee to a Congress which was simply trying to engineer an interference with the election and to try to put Donald Trump in prison. That's what American politics has come down to, sir.
Yeah, I just think
it's shameful, it's wrong, and it's becoming more violent.
Yeah, I think the politicization of the law by everybody, actually, in politics, wherever you are, is just so dangerous because ultimately that is not what the law is supposed to be there for. It's not supposed to be used as a political tool against your opponents. Peter Navarro, it's a fascinating book. I went to prison so you won't have to, but I also found what you said about the Charlie Kirk murder fascinating, and interesting what Elon Musk will say in response to what you've said about what he should do with X. So thank you very much indeed for joining me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the time, Piers.
Well, join me to discuss that and the wider issue of the Charlie Kirk murder. The host of The Crucible, Andrew Wilson, host and executive producer of The Young Turks, Anna Kasparian, and professor, philosopher and activist Dr. Cornel West. And I'll start with Jack Posobiec, who's the senior editor at Human Events and a close friend of Charlie Kirk. Well, Jack, good to have you on Uncensored. My deepest sympathies to you as one of Charlie's many friends. Absolutely horrific murder, cold blood execution. And we're now seeing all the fallout from this. What is your view of the reaction to what has happened with Charlie Kirk? I played at the start of this a rapper brazenly celebrating his death, then lying about celebrating it. But there's been so much of that. What do you feel about that? Today's show is brought to you by Oxford Natural, makers of...
I know exactly what you're going to say. It's going to say it's shameful, blah, blah, blah. Charlie Kirk didn't stand for any other bullshit that they're saying, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe people actually do this, blah, blah, blah. They're going to try to tell people, it's like, hey, man, you shouldn't act like this. This is reprehensible. This is disgusting behavior. Some shit like that. I think that's where it's going to go. That's most likely what he's going to say. He's going to cry. The fake crocodile tears. People get angry at people practicing their First Amendment rights, right?
An immigration lawyer shed £60 to watch their full stories and find out more. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit oxfordnatural.com/peers. And here's the best part. Use the code PEERS, P-I-E-R-S, and get 70% off your first order. Get 70% off with the promo code PEERS.
Yeah, well, Piers, thanks for having me on again. And you know, I don't even know how to put it in words. I wake up on Wednesday, routine day, Charlie's going to campus, I'm covering the show, and then minutes later, I get footage of my friend getting murdered on live TV. And then I wake up the next day and I see thousands of people celebrating it and cheering it. And here's a concert hall full of people clapping and laughing, and a rapper, cheering it on. And we've got a big problem, Piers. We've got a big problem where people have just, I feel like they've lost their humanity.
I wonder whose fault that is. I wonder why people have lost their humanity, especially, I just wonder why people have lost their humanity when it comes to Charlie Kirk dying. I can't put a finger on it. I don't know why people feel this way about Charlie Kirk. How could they laugh? How could they not give a shit? How can they mock? Like, I don't, stop acting fucking stupid. You guys know what's
I think that they've lost humanity, and they've lost sight of, and been totally dissociated with humanity and with reality. And I think there's a
fucking Republicans made jokes, after jokes, tweets, and memes about what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband after some lunatic went to her house, tried to kidnap her, and bashed his fucking skull in with a fucking hammer. Like, come on, get real.
Some kind of social, spiritual cancer that's going on, to take someone who is a young man, who's a husband, who's a father of 2 young children. I saw the family this weekend, and just because of social media, or you think someone's just an influencer, just someone to disagree with, that I can get away from them. Well, it's not that. It's a real person. We're all real people, and I think we've all lost sight of that.
Has it made you more concerned about your own safety? You're a high-profile conservative. You're out there, you're doing events, you're talking. How do you feel? A lot of people must be asking themselves this question: what now, in terms of your security and so on?
Well, Piers, look, there are people who did this. This was an evil act. This was not an accident. And obviously we need to be secure. Every event going forward, we need to make sure that there is pure security. Obviously, the question of outside events is something that's going to have to be discussed and considered, whether or not we can properly secure that, not just for those of us who might be on the microphone, but the people and the students and employees and staff who are going to be at these events, and even just regular students on campus. I mean, campus security, or all security. But the problem is that we've entered into a very dark place, and I fear that until we really start to deal with this cancer that's been metastasized throughout our society, we're still going to be living with this threat.
When Elon Musk addressed this very large crowd in London on Saturday, and said that the only way to respond to this violence from the left is to fight back, many have interpreted that to mean, if need be, violently. Do you feel that is ratcheting up the rhetoric too far, or do you think he meant something else?
I didn't hear all of Elon's speech. I've been dealing with other things this weekend. But look, in terms of fighting back, obviously, I think that we need to continue Charlie's mission, fight the way that Charlie fought, do politics the right way, fight with our words, fight with our ideals, fight with dialogue, with speech. I've always stood for freedom of speech. Charlie always stood for freedom of speech. And when it comes to anyone who is perpetuating, though, this cancerous ideology, and of course, that is perpetuating violence and excusing or encouraging violent ends, then that would cross the barrier, I would say, into law enforcement, and having law enforcement action, local, state, federal, whatever the appropriate manner would be, under color of law, would be, of course, to try to prevent and intervene before one of these horrific acts once again takes place. And of course, we heard FBI director come out this morning and say that there were people who were discussing this in the open even before it took place. Obviously, all of that has to be investigated. But Piers, in the United States, we used to have a huge problem of serial killers and other behavioral issues in society that we dealt with from a national standpoint. And I think we need to really step back, have that conversation, and figure out what the right national, federal response is going to be.
Anna Kasperin, what was your immediate reaction when you heard about what had happened to Charlie Kirk and presumably at some stage saw the video?
Well, it started with absolute shock, followed by despair, followed by fear of what this means for the country and how things could potentially and very likely devolve further. You know, Charlie and I had multiple debates and conversations, and what I really appreciated about Charlie, and I've said this multiple times, was that even though we had disagreements, he had a huge platform and was inviting to people like me to make my case to a completely different audience about my point of view, why I believe things that I believe. And that's what is supposed to make America great. The ability to live in a pluralistic society where people have differences of opinion, but can engage with one another in good faith and make their case. You know, I was recently on Tucker Carlson's show for a pretty lengthy interview, and after that interview ended, Tucker Carlson let me know that Charlie Kirk reached out to him and said that he loved the interview and would like to have me on his show. That's the kind of person Charlie Kirk was. Now, that's not to take away from the things that I vehemently disagreed with him on, but engaging in violence is an act of cowardice. It's what losers do. It's what people who are unable to articulate their arguments effectively resort to. That's my take on what happened to Charlie Kirk. And I have to say, the video...
It wasn't about that. I guess we have to wait for more information to come out, but it wasn't about articulating. Let's be very clear. This person who did this act does not like Charlie Kirk. And I feel like there needs to be a little bit more investigation. Just by what I've heard so far, it sounds like they just didn't like him. I guess it is because of his beliefs. But when you're talking about articulating, that means that his person is once engaged with Charlie Kirk and can't beat Charlie Kirk, therefore he decided to kill Charlie Kirk. I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking too much.
The video of him getting killed was one of the most disgusting, horrific things I've seen, and I can't get that image out of my mind. It's seared in my mind.
Thank you for saying what you just said. Very clear. What has been truly shocking to me, not just the murder itself, which was obviously just horrific, as was the video. And I agree, it's very hard to ever lose that image of what happened. But the reaction from young people in particular on the left, I have to say, I have found absolutely sickening. The glee, the celebration, the TikToks, the general, the behavior of this rap band, Bob Vylan, and then the lying about the fact they were clearly celebrating in the most despicable manner what had happened to Charlie Kirk. You know, I've got no problem with people praising Charlie Kirk's record and criticizing him where they feel he was wrong about stuff. That's fine. That happens to every public figure when they die. But to gleefully celebrate the cold-blooded execution of a 31-year-old father of two, I just found crossed every line of humanity. And I guess, Anna, you know, a lot of these young people, you've met a lot of these young people on the left. What is going on with young people on the left? And I'm not for a moment saying there aren't young people on the right that have similar mindsets about their opponents. But what is going on with these young people on the woke left who genuinely look at that and think this is something to celebrate? Hello and welcome. We begin with some breaking news. Woke is dead. The war on common sense is officially over. Cancelled celebrities are emerging from Twitter jail. Virtue signaling has been outlawed under punishment of mass ridicule, and we are finally free to call a spade a spade. So what was the...
not really breaking news. I don't know. I feel this is about to be some weird shit. I don't know what she's about to do. I don't expect Anna to like fucking push back too much because of the situation. She's going to be very, very careful in what she says, because she does feel sympathetic to what happened to Charlie Kirk. They have a close relationship, not a close relationship, but a relationship nonetheless. So I feel as if she's not going to push back on that. That's fine. I don't expect every single person to have this fucking vitriol towards Charlie Kirk.
Well, I'm going to answer the question.
But I would say for the people who are celebrating his death, you can't do. What do you want people to do? You want people to say stop using your freedom of speech, your platform to go celebrate somebody dying. I can't do anything about that. You're gonna have to invite them on to actually to have a conversation with them and ask them why they did it. I think that's what Piers Morgan is gonna have to do. I don't think anybody has that answer except for the people.
But let me just note that there are different factions on the left, and I think the way that this is kind of being discussed in a way that just kind of generalizes everyone on the left is kind of unfair. But putting that aside, I do think that we have an overall problem. I think what happened is a symptom of a bigger issue that we have, not just in this country, but I'm seeing it happen globally, where there's just this dehumanization of people based on their political views. And on top of that, the devaluing of human life, right? I mean, we've been seeing images of people being butchered, children being butchered endlessly on social media over the last nearly 2 years. Prior to that, I mean, the rhetoric that devalues human life, I think, has played a role into it. But also, I just think that there's this dumb idea that all you need to do is like get rid of or take out some of the prominent figures on the political side of the aisle that you disagree with, and that'll somehow solve the issue. No, that doesn't solve the issue. What it does is it makes the situation in various countries where this type of political violence plays out far worse. Now you're hearing talk of retaliation in a violent way. When it comes to the Trump administration, you're hearing, policies that are being proposed that would limit the legitimate political speech of Americans. I am concerned about that. What that disgusting murderer did is he pushed for this country to devolve further. And I wish that cooler heads would prevail, but at the same time, I don't begrudge people who are angry. I mean, that poor wife and her 2 children witnessed Charlie Kirk get shot and killed in the neck. I don't begrudge her at all for being furious. No. I can't even imagine where my headspace would be at right now if that happened to my husband.
Right. Andrew Wilson, where were you when you heard about Charlie Kirk, and what is your view of the fallout from this?
Yeah, I was sitting with my wife watching TV. So the thing is I remember this picture circulating around of Charlie Kirk. He was debating the incoming president of the Oxford Union. And they were all smiles and handshakes, and by the next day, this guy was saying the most insane rhetoric about how he basically had it coming. So, how many of these leftists have murderous intent? When we show up to have a conversation with them. We show up to debate our views. We show up to in some way engage with them. How many of them have seething murderous intent behind their eyes, and they don't really want to do any of that? They really want you.
We should ask every single Trump supporter, MAGA supporter, that same fucking question. Every time you talk to one or you try to have a conversation with one, they sound so fucking hateful. Like, it's like you don't want to be left in a room alone with them because you do not know how they feel about black people or people of color or people, or minority groups.
Dead. And that is the biggest demonstration of that, by the way, in that one single picture. You have Anna Kasparian here, and she's talking about this. The Young Turks called Charlie Kirk a fascist how many times? The Young Turks played into this rhetoric how much? They went out of their way to do so. Rubin recently called him out for doing it. So I just hang on.
I've literally never. I don't even call Trump a fascist.
I didn't interrupt you once, lady.
But you can't make things up about what I've said about Charlie Kirk.
You can talk when I'm done talking, like I was respectful enough to let you do. So the thing is like, yes, they do. This network does do that, and these leftists do that, and they set all the rhetoric up in the world to make sure something like this happened, and they were dancing on the grave of this guy before he was even cold. I have tweets from Destiny which are insane. The leftists have gone off the reservation. And it's time for us to stop pretending that it's not their rhetoric which is leading to these types of assassinations, because it is. I don't want to hear about factions. All of you guys are doing this. All of you guys have the same type of rhetoric which leads to this, or the networks you work for do.
Well, Anna, let me let you respond to that before I bring Cornell in.
I've never called him. I have never called Charlie Kirk a fascist, number one. In fact, if anything, we have received.
Charlie Kirk is a fucking fascist. When you believe in fascist ideologies, when you support somebody who believes in fascist ideologies, it's not a wrong possibility somebody goes for fascist. If your talking points fit the bill, then that's what it is. If you're consistently fitting the bill, I'm sorry, you're a fucking fascist. If you're saying a bunch of racist shit, I'm sorry, you're a fucking racist. It's simple as that, Andrew Wilson. It's not that fucking difficult. A fascist is a fascist. Me calling somebody a fascist, I mean, go out there and murder or unalive or whatever, kill this person or eliminate him. That's not me. That's me calling a spade a spade. Like, I don't understand. I really don't understand why people are just fucking tiptoeing around this because Charlie Kirk is dead. Just fucking tell these motherfuckers how you really fucking feel. Like, I'm tired. Like, I know Anna just wants to fucking explode, especially after being told that. But she's going to bite her tongue because you have two people who are pretending to be hurt by this.
Tremendous amount. I don't remember Trump. I don't remember Cenk calling Charlie Kirk a fascist. In fact, Cenk and I got into a debate about whether or not. Hold on. I don't remember Cenk calling Charlie Kirk a fascist. He called Trump a fascist, and he and I got into a debate about that. But to lump in everyone on the left together, I don't agree with Destiny on anything these days. Destiny is totally unhinged in his rhetoric, 100%. I have been critical of Charlie Kirk's political views, but going around referring to people as Nazis, turning the temperature up, I did not engage in that. So I just want you to at least be fair about what I've actually said about Charlie
There's no
Kirk.
actual reason for us to believe leftists at this point. It's very clear that while they come out with a handshake and wanting to have these conversations, they claim, right? In reality, what they're doing is they have murderous intent, and they'll celebrate you the day that you die. The next day, they'll go after your wife. Thousands of social media accounts going after her wife, or this guy's wife, after she made a speech about her poor husband. Yes, it is your side that's doing that. Like it or not, it's your side that's doing that. There's no equivalency between the right and the left on this. Yeah, okay, fine. You're not a leftist. I'm sorry. Are you on the left wing? Are you a Democrat? Are you more of a Democrat than you are a Republican? Do you move towards those types of issues?
I'm not a Democrat. I actually registered as an independent.
Fine. You register as an independent.
Come on, you gotta at least know what my views are if you're gonna attack me.
All right, let me bring in. All right,
so
let
what
me
are your
bring
views
in.
on
I've
Trump?
been attacked
Is Trump
by
a
the left over the last.
Yes. Why is it so difficult? Just say yes. Just say fucking yes, bro. It's just like this. Why are people letting fucking Andrew Wilson bully the fuck out of them right now? Just fucking tell him what he wants to hear. He wants to engage in a back and forth. Give him the fucking back and forth. Entertain him.
3 years.
All right, let me bring in.
No.
Look.
I've been attacked by the left. No. Let me just at least address that. I've been attacked viciously.
Yeah, I would say that Hannah has been attacked by the left, rightfully so at some points. Not all the time.
By leftists over the last 3 years because of the fact that I want to engage in this type of dialogue, because of the fact I was willing to sit down with Charlie Kirk and with Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro. I'm willing to have conversations, and I don't go around labeling people as fascist and racist and Nazis just because I disagree with them.
Just the organization you work for does?
At least understand
just the
what my
organization
political
you work
views
for
are.
Does?
Listen. I'm not going to be blamed for what everyone in that company has to say. Anyone in that company has to say.
The
I'm
head
an individual.
of that company?
We are supposed to judge people based on individuals. He did not go around calling Charlie Kirk a fascist and a Nazi.
Saying that you don't have good reasoning skills. If it's the case that you think, oh my God, you can't be calling people Nazis. You can't be calling people Nazis while your boss does all the time.
Why are you making that up? You're just making it up. You're just making it up. We're all the same. That's how simple-minded.
So why not talk to Cenk? Why not have Piers Morgan, have you and Cenk on for the 5,000th time so you guys can scream at each other? This is fucking crazy.
You are. You're all the same. Okay, then everyone on the right is just like Dylan Roof.
All right. Let me. All right.
We can go down a fucking line of just crazy ass fucking lunatics on both sides. On both sides, has committed crazy ass fucking shit. But we can go down a fucking list. But this shit's pissing me off. The only reason I'm annoyed by this is because, like, when motherfuckers like Andrew Wilson come up here and they try to do this whole fucking shit where they pretend to actually give a fuck. Like, I don't believe him. He just doesn't. I don't believe him. I feel like he doesn't give a shit.
Minded that.
Let me bring in. I want to bring in Cornel West. I want to bring in Cornel West. I want to bring in Cornel. He's been waiting.
Shut up,
please let Cornel come in now. He's been waiting very patiently. Cornel, welcome back to Uncensored, where things are getting incendiary quite quickly. I think the overriding point I would make about the debate we've just been hearing between Andrew and Anna is that there is little doubt to me that the constant rhetoric on the left, the woke left, let me be specific to where I think a lot of the blame lies, ever since Donald Trump came into power in 2016, has been this relentless use of the phrases Hitler, Nazis, fascists about Trump and about Trump supporters. And the problem with constantly saying this as a group, as the woke left have done for 9 years now, is that eventually it permeates down to young, impressionable minds who genuinely believe that it is their mission to stop America.
I think that because that's no one called. I think there's probably random people that called Trump Hitler. The only actual official that I've heard call Donald Trump a Hitler was his vice president. He called Trump Hitler not too long ago before Trump made him his running mate. Like I'm confused. Why does nobody mention that about J.D. Vance? Okay.
From being taken over by the new Nazis or the new fascists or the new Hitler. And that leads to the kind of thing we saw with Charlie Kirk. Do you agree that this language, this relentless, in my view, woeful misuse, particularly of the word Nazi, towards Trump and his supporters?
No, because it's fucking true. It's not using it in the correct context. Are they actual fucking Nazis running around in Germany, trying to, off Jews? No, I don't think that's it. They're not actively doing that. But like, you can compare what the fuck's happening now to what the fuck the authoritarian state of Germany was under the reign of Hitler. Like, the only person I've heard called Donald Trump Hitler is J.D. Vance. The only person I've heard. I think Donald Trump is a wannabe Hitler. He's a wannabe fascist. He wants to be that, but he can't.
This is part of the problem.
He's too stupid to do that.
Well, I think part of the deeper problem, though, Brother Pierce, is that the organized greed and weaponized hatred and routinized indifference toward the vulnerable has come together in such a way that it has eroded the sources of character formation, so that integrity, honesty, decency, and self-critical sensibilities of individuals and groups is more and more disappearing. So you end up with because hatred itself is promiscuous, just like greed, just like indifference toward the suffering of others. It's promiscuous. It will lie with the left, right, center. It lies with Christians. It lies with Muslims. It lies with Jews. It lies with Buddhists. It lies with Hindus. And human beings were so wretched in the first place. If we don't undergo some kind of spiritual and moral cultivation, we end up falling back on greed and hatred and indifference. And I mean, the American empire at this moment is one in which the lethal combination of the hatred and the greed and the indifference generates very much the exchange that we just saw. You see, this brother right here says, well, all leftists want to see me dead. Well, I'm a leftist. I don't want to see you dead. I'm a Christian.
You called Trump's administration a neo-fascist movement, you lunatic. It
is a neo-fascist lunatic. Like, it is a neo-fascist. This is why I don't like.
People have gone out
You're
of your
absolutely
way.
right.
You have gone out of your way.
No, let me make the case. Let me make the case. Let me make the case.
Oh, yeah,
Will you allow me to speak, brother? Come on, man. Come on. No. You haven't made the case. If you think I've made the case, then you're not interested in dialogue.
You just said this brother over here said this.
You're very, very different than Brother Charlie, man. You're very different than Charlie, though, man. Yes, Yes, absolutely. And I can make a case for that,
people
too.
like you that got that man killed, sir.
No.
Absolutely not. Like, people have been saying that shit about Donald Trump for absolute years. They still don't even know enough about the actual fucking shooter, that they're just making up shit now. So far it has nothing to do with the fucking left. I wouldn't be surprised if it was somebody who was more so like a Nick Fuentes follower because of the Groyper accusations that this guy has. And Nick Fuentes doesn't fucking hates Charlie Kirk. So this will be very, really not entertaining, but actually curious on how this actually fucking ends. If the fucking government's going to tell the fucking truth about the ideologies of this fucking guy. Because I want to see the faces of this fuck right here, this Andrew Wilson. I want to hear Piers Morgan. I want to hear a lot of people on the right actually come out and, which they won't apologize for the fucking rhetoric that they spewed for like the past week now. They won't apologize for that, but I actually want to hear. I want to see the fucking egg hit there on their fucking faces when they realize it was one of them, because it was one of them. Typical white male, coming out from a conservative home, radicalized somehow by random ass radicalized groups online to commit heinous acts, just like every other fucking shooter ever. And they just so happen to be white, look just like Andrew Wilson.
No. There are such a thing as neo-fascists. But Pierce, why you have a brother on who's not going to allow nobody to speak, man? We just wasting time. If all you're interested in is making your money, and you bring this brother on it, and nobody can...
Everybody's got to keep coming after Pierce, bro. It's like every episode now. Shit, man, I fucked up. Wait. No. Okay.
I think the overriding point I would make about the debate we've just been hearing between Andrew and Anna is that there is little doubt to me that the constant rhetoric on the left, the woke left, let me be specific to where I think a lot of the blame lies, ever since Donald Trump came into power in 2016, has been this relentless use of the phrases Hitler, Nazis, fascists, about Trump and about Trump supporters. And the problem with constantly saying this as a group, as the woke left have done for, 9 years now, is that eventually...
But Pierce, you making your money, brother. Go on and make your money, man.
It's not about making...
Not worth it.
Cornell,
this brother
it's not
right
about
here
making
is
money.
part of the problem. This other...
Oh, God. Yeah, did y'all just make Cornel West fucking rage quit, bro? How do you make Cornel West walk out? Like, you gotta be some kind of...
other brother who...
How do you do that?
...has a deep connection to Charlie, he's willing to at least listen, but this brother's not willing to listen.
Cornell, can you sit down? I would like you to remain part of the debate.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. He's smoking his cigarettes with his arrogant self. Come on, man. We don't have enough
come on.
Dialogue at all.
Surely you're not going to walk out in a debate about dialogue.
Go on and make your money, man.
Right. Well, there's a kind of farcical to quit a debate where we're literally debating about the importance of free speech and being able to listen to each other's opinions, which seems to...
Well, when you have anybody, I think this is a wrong topic to have Andrew Wilson on. It's difficult and wrong topic because he's not going to actually give a shit about the actual context. He smells blood in the water. He's going to attack it. He doesn't care about Charlie Kirk. He doesn't give a shit about Charlie Kirk. He just sees something. He's feeding off the fact that, oh man, I could come 100% at the fucking left now. 100%. I can use this. Charlie Kirk's death. Piers Morgan's panel. This is the perfect time for me to attack anybody who's left right now. So he goes after Cornel West.
Be completely insane. Anyway, we've lost Cornel West for now. Maybe we'll get him back. Well, Andrew Wilson referred to Destiny's insane tweets a little earlier, which were disavowed by Anna Kasparian. Well, Destiny joins us now. Destiny, you've been quite active on social media since Charlie Kirk's death. When Erica Kirk posted Charlie's coffin, you responded, she tagged him, brackets, crying face emojis. In response to Alina Haber's tweet ordering people to fly their flags at half-mast in memory of Charlie, you posted on X, buying flags and poles just to fly them fully erect. And you then posted yesterday, ending every Conservative debate call out I'd do in 2026 with, don't dodge, bro. That's not what Charlie would have wanted.
What the fuck is wrong with you, bro?
I mean, do you think that...
What the fuck is wrong with you? Hey, yo, what?
Your response to the
That was yesterday.
bloody murder of Charlie Kirk has been appropriate.
Yes. I think that the only way this country moves forward into a better world is when conservatives can finally realize that they need to turn the temperature down on their side. We are 10 years into whatever this Trump madness is, and there is not a single mainstream conservative that will call for a lowering of the temperature on their side. I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term. Every time he's in office, this happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump. All of the recent political violence that's happened in this country over the past 20 years, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it, everybody gets mad because they keep asking Grok about it, has been conservative.
Who shot Charlie Kirk?
A guy from Utah who was raised in a Christian family, who was a 22-year-old
white
dude.
described.
He wasn't trans. He didn't have a trans
girlfriend.
girlfriend. He didn't have any trans influences. He didn't have any trans bullets. Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys were wrong on all of that.
To be clear, the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which.
What leftist ideology? Can you please ask him what ideology specific that he was radicalized in?
Drove him to do this. That's just.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. When?
Yesterday, he said that.
No. When was he radicalized? In the 6 months that he did remote college? Not
I don't know when he was radicalized, but I do know.
What you just said
I do know
true.
the very reasonable sounding governor of Utah has made it clear.
Oh, come on, now you can't say very reasonable sounding governor is not good enough.
True.
That the
you
may not want to hear
this.
This.
An ongoing investigation.
You may not want to hear it, Destiny. But the reality is, the investigators, according to the governor of Utah, have established that he was radicalized to a leftist ideology that drove him to murder Charlie Kirk. Now, let me just ask you.
That's just not true.
Let me just
There's
ask
no
you.
way to deal with it.
Okay,
You're living in a
accusing the governor of lying.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative. But if it turns out to have been somebody with a leftist ideology who wanted to shut up Charlie Kirk, would you condemn that?
I won't condemn anything until the president of the United States can go on air and say, all of us need to calm down.
So you won't condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk until Donald Trump says something.
I'm a YouTuber. Leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Donald Trump can't go on TV and say, all of us need to calm down.
Right.
Can you tell me why he cannot?
Why
tell
would you
his
expect
side to calm
anybody,
down?
Destiny?
You can't answer that. Can you answer that question? Why can't Trump go on TV
this
and say,
question?
all of us should be less violent?
Why do you
can't
think?
Trump say that?
Why do you
Why
think?
is your behavior contingent on Donald Trump?
Insane right now.
Why do you think?
Your
No, let me
behavior
ask a
contingent
question.
on Donald Trump?
Let me
Why
ask
is
a
that?
question.
Because he's the president of the United States of America and the leader of the opposing political party.
Let me
You
just.
have a huge audience of young men who
I'm a
listen to
YouTuber
everything you have to
who
say.
has more
So
young
when
men
you,
following
it
him.
doesn't matter.
Who
You
has
have a
more young-
huge
it doesn't
audience,
matter.
and because
This
of
is
the fact that you
world
have a
I'm
huge
living in,
audience,
and
you
your
have
brain
a
has been
responsibility
broken by
to
online
not
rhetoric.
turn. No,
And
it
your
hasn't.
brain
It
has
hasn't been
been
broken.
destroyed.
Actually,
They're fucking rotted. And
they care about the
People
country
bullied you on
and want to bring
Twitter.
people together.
If
You do
then
the
you should tell
opposite.
Donald
You
Trump to
represent
tell
the
people
worst
to
of us,
be
Destiny.
less
You're
violent.
embarrassing.
You should.
Why doesn't Anna make the same fucking statements on the TYT? Is this just because she? Oh my fucking god, this is so fucking stupid right now. Literally, Donald Trump is the person that should be right now being a fucking leader of the fucking United States of America and telling people, hey, stop it. Hey, everybody, bring the temperature down. Just like Destiny said. What the fuck is wrong with what he just said? I don't understand it. That's what should be happening right now.
You're embarrassing.
All right, let me ask Destiny a question.
Watch how easy this is.
Hang on, don't all shout at once, please.
If Donald Trump would have come out and said, hey, we should all be less violent, I have no problem saying
I have one
absolutely.
question for you,
Why
Destiny.
can't conservatives do that? Why can't conservatives do that?
Destiny, I have a question for you. Why do you think, in your campaign for everyone to dial down the temperature, why do you think that mocking the grieving widow of Charlie Kirk, when she posts an image of her at the coffin side, why do you think that constitutes turning down the temperature?
You can't turn down the temperature on your own. The president of the United States is not
inflame the temperature.
able
You're
to...
mocking
no,
his
it's
widow.
Already inflamed.
You're
What are you
mocking his
talking
widow.
about? We've had multiple political assassinations over the past year. What do you mean it's turning up the temperature?
Why did you mock his widow?
Online because
Why did you mock his widow?
Because she's being used as a political weapon right now
Wow.
for conservatives to continue their fight. What do you mean, wow? She's literally doing
Her husband just got
ads
murdered.
on email. Yeah, and she's using it to drive up recruitment for
And
a
you
political
can't even
movement.
condemn the murder. You won't condemn it.
Can't even tell his side.
You're
to
so
turn the temperature
deranged
down.
about Trump that you
are
cannot condemn the
unhinged.
murder
It is such
because
a
you're
joke,
waiting
and
for
you guys
Donald
sit here
Trump
and
to
make
say
money
something.
off of it. It's
All right, let me bring
crazy
in
to me that
Jack.
Republicans can't
Let me
do
bring
it.
in Jack
What a joke of the
Posobiec.
world.
I got to
And
say,
there's still no answer to that question, Piers. You can't say
which question?
Why can't Donald Trump simply go on TV and say we all need to turn it down,
Fine.
like Biden could, like Obama could,
Fine.
like the Clintons could, like Kamala could? Why
Fine.
not?
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie
it's
Kirk?
unbelievable. I'm not the president of
Why
the United
can't
States.
you
Can't answer that
condemn
question.
the
It's
murder of Charlie
unbelievable.
Kirk?
Unbelievable to me.
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Because it wasn't my side that caused it. It should
Yes,
be the
it
one
was.
that is driving up
It
the
actually
rhetoric.
was your side that caused it. It was your side.
This guy was raised in a white
He was
Christian
a
household,
radicalized
in a Christian
leftist
state.
ideology.
He wasn't radicalized by leftism at all. You have no proof of that whatsoever.
That's what
Just
the
like
investigators
the one that killed
are
Melissa
saying.
Was a conservative, just like the people that firebombed Shapiro's house was a conservative, just like all the J6ers were
He was not
conservative,
a
just like the Proud
conservative, he was
Boys
a
were conservative.
pro-Palestinian activist
Every
out of
single one of
Harrisburg.
every single one of these people. Oh, it's Jack Posobiec, what, the author of Unhuman, another person that Charlie's put a good one, dude.
Well, I'll give you one last chance, Destiny, to condemn the murder of Charlie
Yes, you
Kirk.
are acting like an unhuman.
Why can't I hear Donald Trump
you are against
condemn
humanity.
violence in this
all
country?
right, you
Why
won't
can't I
condemn
hear
it. Okay, we've
I
all
can't hear it.
heard.
That's insane
We've
to
all
me.
heard you repeatedly refuse to
And
condemn
we've
it.
heard Donald Trump refuse to condemn
Jack
it too. But for some
Posobiec.
reason, the leftists on YouTube are a bigger deal. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what's incredible is you don't have the basic humanity to condemn it. You'd rather taunt his widow. I find that sickening. Jack Posobiec.
I find it sickening that when people are getting killed in the country, the president of the United States on Fox and Friends, when they're begging him, what do you say to your followers that want revenge? He says, I don't know, all the elections are rigged. It's the radical Democrats. That's insane to me. And then the fixation is, well, who on Twitter and YouTube isn't condemning the violence?
All right, Jack
Piers,
Posobiec.
you have a great example here of the type of cancer I'm talking about, where when you present direct information, they refuse, they obfuscate, they refute, they say it's not true, they lie. You could see from the bullet casings, you could see from postings, you could see from everything.
What did the bullet casing say? Can somebody ask him what the bullet cases say, and can he break it down for us? Each and every bullet casing. Please. I really want him to know. And then I ask him if he knows anything about Corpus. If he knows anything about online anything.
Everything out there that, it's very clear what happened here. This is the same people who supported President Trump almost getting assassinated twice last year, Cory Carpatore being assassinated
By
last year
conservatives.
in a situation. Again, see, just lies. That's all they do. They talk over. They don't even let you give a chance to speak. And something needs to be done, Piers. Something absolutely needs to be done. This ideology should be shamed, humiliated, driven from the public discourse. I mean, you've got people who have completely dissociated with humanity because all they care about are clicks and YouTube streams and likes. Go to the casket, go to the gravesite, go talk to the widow. You know, I don't even know how to discuss this with someone who's completely lost all touch with reality.
Yeah, I mean, Anna.
What's Jack's answer to why can't the president say we should all be less violent?
Right. Because you can't even condemn the cold-blooded execution of Charlie
Donald Trump
Kirk.
turns on Destiny.
I don't think you're in the
YouTube,
position
and he
to
says, "I
demand
wonder what
anything from
Destiny's saying
anybody.
on YouTube. That's how I'm going to take my.
You're
my
not in any
pointers.
position
Really?
to condemn anybody for anything. You won't
Absolutely
condemn a
am, because he's the
cold-blooded
president
murder.
of the United States. He's the president of the United States. No one here can answer that question.
Basic
Why Donald
humanity
Trump-
says
why
the murder
Donald Trump,
was
the president,
horrific.
Can't say
Why can't
all
you
of us
say
need
it?
to be less violent.
Why can't you
Democrats
say
have been
it,
saying
Destiny?
for over a decade.
To
Democrats
say
have
the
been saying it for
murder
over a
was
decade.
horrific and
Why
unacceptable.
can't Donald Trump say it?
Why is Pierce so fucking obsessed with other people coming go to his show and saying, hey, you must say this, you must say that? No, nobody has to fucking do it. That's what you brought him on here for. You brought them on here to disagree. This is what you wanted. This is literally what you wanted. Like, why are you trying to condemn somebody or trying to force somebody to say something they won't mean? And if you watch this shit, he condemns it. He doesn't believe in political violence. Nobody should be getting assassinated. That's exactly what he fucking states on his fucking streams. But the problem is, you want people on the left to fucking admit some shit that you're... Piers is literally on this fucking show lying, saying that it was a radical leftist, right? Where there's no proof that it was a radical leftist. If somebody asks him, oh, he was radicalized by left ideology, what ideology was he radicalized should be the next question, and they should be able to answer what ideology this guy was radicalized by. So far, no bueno. Or no bueno. The individual that assassinated Charlie Kirk so far, named Tyler Robinson, 22, I believe it is, came from a white Christian conservative home, was radicalized, if anything, according to the real investigation, radicalized by a group called Gropers, who is basically a group ran by or at least subscribed to Nick Fuentes, who actually had beef with Charlie Kirk. So I mean, like, you might want to dive deep into that. Maybe have Nick Fuentes on to talk about what a groper is.
Can't do it, can you?
Here of any word
I'll definitely cut it out.
for Donald Trump.
All right, Anna
Who do you have for
Kasperin.
Donald Trump. Nothing exactly.
Anna Kasperin, to me, this is what I'm talking about, that I think there is an element of the left, the hard woke left, that have completely lost their minds. If you are not able to just outright simply condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk, and if you cannot stop yourself from mocking his grieving widow, you are sick, as I've just seen from Destiny. It's a sick
thing is
mindset.
weaponizing a widow's grief to try to do recruitment for your political party. That's probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. She's showing up in emails for recruitment drives for TPUSA.
What did you think the assassination of a political figure would do? What did you think the outcome was going to be? What did you think the outcome was? And by the way,
are you asking
really,
me for the pragmatic political
your
outcome,
behavior?
or are you asking
hold
me
on.
for?
Hey,
you're
how
asking me a
about
question,
take it
so I
easy
didn't
on
know
the
it was rhetorical.
Adderall? Take it easy on the Adderall, and let me answer the question that Pierce asked me.
You must have been really bullied today, I
My
guess.
behavior,
Let Anna speak, please.
My behavior is not reliant on how anyone else behaves. Every morning I wake up and I make decisions about how I choose to react or respond to things. I don't wake up in the morning, check what Donald Trump has to say, and then base my own personal behavior on his behavior. I agree with you in that it would be very helpful to have the leader of this country want to turn the temperature down. And he hasn't done that. I agree with you on that. But that doesn't change the way I choose to respond to what's going on. The idea of mocking a woman who is now a widow with 2 young children who witnessed her husband get shot in the neck and bleed out to death. How could you mock that? What is wrong with you? I just don't understand it. That's it. I don't understand it. I don't understand you, Destiny. You have so much hatred in your heart, and at the same time, you
it's such a simple thing. If you're going to weaponize somebody's grief against the other party, well, then of course people have a right to fight back against it. I think that she has every right to grieve in whatever way she wants, but when that grief is going to be weaponized to do recruitment, political recruitment, and further radicalization of the other side, then of course you not only have the ability to mock it, I think you have the obligation to mock it. It's insane.
Let me understand. Let me understand your argument. So since others are using her grief to politically recruit, you think that it's okay to mock her specifically?
Since others are using her grief,
sense?
she's the one who gave a 17-minute speech on TV where she talked about good versus evil. She's the one showing up in
Destiny,
TPUSA ads to 1 or 2 days after.
If someone assassinated my husband, I would not be able to have the level of composure she had.
So the fuck what? Like, at the end of the day, so the fuck what? You won't be able to have the composure. That sucks. That really does suck that you won't be able to have the composure. But if you, Anna Kasparian, were to take whatever rage you had and place it out on the internet, you know what happens next. You know what happens next. Anybody with a brain should have told her this was going to happen, most likely. Because you had people that didn't like his rhetoric. And what she did was go on to push on to further that rhetoric. She said in a fucking video that his legacy doesn't fucking die. If you're going to set up a recruitment ads for Turning Point USA or whatever the fuck you were sending them for, of course people are going to respond to you. And that's just
during that speech, I would be out for blood. I understand why she's angry and why she said the things that she said. Okay, you need to understand what being a human is, what it's like to actually lose someone that you love, that you chose to spend your life with, that you chose to raise children with, a person who was violently and viciously assassinated like that. This is why I've moved away
and when
from
something
identifying as a
you got bullied online. It's so funny. It's so funny that you just said that you don't think about how other people act to define your behavior. Your entire political ideology now is somehow defined by the people that were mean to you on Twitter.
No,
if somebody
it's
cares
not.
about somebody who's grieving,
I understood what the flaws on the left happen to be. The weakness in their arguments. No, it's not about the way I get treated. I get treated like crap from both sides of the political aisle.
You do mass recruitment for our political party while everyone over here is calling for civil war. It's unhinged. When you've got people like Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire, the
we're
president
talking
of the
to a
United States
guy
calling
who
for
said
civil
he'd be
war.
okay with his own parents getting killed if they went to that Trump rally where that assassination attempt
and we're
happened.
talking to a
There's
woman
no
who went
reasoning
on and
with
did
you,
the whole
Destiny.
conservative media
There's
outlet with
there's
Tucker
no
Carlson
reasoning
and
with
Glenn
you.
Beck and had
Okay.
nothing bad to say whatsoever. I know where your bread is buttered. I know where
And
you're
it was
making your money
great.
from.
I had
Okay, that's
awesome
great.
conversations.
I
I don't regret it at all.
That's great.
I also had a
And keep up with the
conversation
personal
with Jack
attacks 'cause you're
Posobiec
so
on her take. It was
brain-broken.
awesome.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Jack,
what
the guy over there that
democracy
gets
is about.
paid by
Having
Russia
an
that
exchange
lies
of
about everything
ideas.
that comes out of his
Yeah.
mouth. Yeah,
All right,
great.
let me
That's a
bring
good
in.
one.
Let me
I
bring
don't
in.
agree with him on everything, but at
Still
least we
to
can
this
have
day.
dialogue.
Anna,
No
Anna,
one on
you're
here can
completely
call
right, by the
dialogue.
way.
Sure is
Anna
happening
is
right now.
completely
Charlie,
right.
didn't it?
And the irony of Charlie Kirk is that he led the way in going in to debate with people who hated him, and he would try and have respectful
Charlie
dialogue.
Kirk beat up
Well,
on college students.
unlike
That's all
you,
he did.
Destiny.
Let's be
Let me
real.
bring
Unlike
Andrew
me,
Wilson
I'm
in.
So do
arguing,
you.
I'm not- yeah.
Let me
What do
bring
you
in
mean? So
Andrew
do you.
Wilson.
So do you. You beat up on college students. You go on a college tour. You're
Charlie
going on a
Kirk is
college
trying to
tour
hold
right
higher
now
level
to
debates
beat
and you
up
guys
on
kill
college students. What are you talking about, Destiny? That's what you're doing right this second, is going on a college tour to go beat up on college students.
go on
By the way,
to
can I ask you a question?
that
Yes,
fucking
can you actually answer?
Oh shit! What the fuck?
Can you actually answer? Hang on, calm down. I just got one question. I got one question for you, and I want you to actually answer it. Are you glad Charlie Kirk is dead?
No, I don't think anybody in this country should be dying to political violence. It's insane. The past 5 years in this country has been crazy. But the reality is, until conservatives,
so then why did you say to your co-host that Trump deserved the bullet? Why did you tell him that?
Until conservatives have to say, hey, we all need to be less violent, there's no purpose in Democrats doing it, because every time Democrats disavow, you further entrench your guys' delusional beliefs that all the violence is coming on the left. Donald Trump can go on TV, he can say, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. They can go on Parler and say, we heard you. They can go to the Capitol and break in and try to insurrect. They can get convicted in front of a jury, and then Donald Trump can pardon them, and we can come out and go, hey guys, why aren't Democrats disavowing violence? And pretend that the problem is coming from the left. Democrats do a disservice to this country by disavowing violence constantly when the president of the United States
Let me respond
won't go on
quickly.
TV and say all of
Let
us
me
need to be
respond
less
quickly,
violent. How
Destiny.
easy
So
could that
the
be?
thing is, why did you say to your co-host
Yeah, keep
that
focusing on me.
the
Keep
bullet
focusing on
that
me.
the bullet
I'm not here to
that
play-
the bullet was for Trump? Why did you say to your co-host that the best place for the bullet was Trump? Why did you say that?
Why did Donald Trump call
It's a
everyone a fascist?
whataboutism.
That's what's causing people to
Whataboutism.
kill. Yeah,
I'm
that's what
asking
you're
you
doing
a
right
question.
now. Whataboutism. The
I can't be a
conversation is about what
whataboutism
I
if it's
said.
my
The
question,
conversation is,
Destiny.
Why won't Donald Trump disavow violence in the United
Answer the
States?
question.
All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this before I cut
Such an easy
mics?
question.
Because you don't care.
Destiny,
You don't care that Kirk's dead. Just
Destiny,
be honest,
allow
you fuck.
Andrew,
Just be honest, you fuck.
allow Andrew to repeat his question and let him ask the question. Then you answer it, okay, Andrew?
No, I want to hear the other
No,
side
no,
first.
let him
See
ask
what I
the
mean?
question.
Donald Trump
Let him
disavow violence
ask
in
the
this
question, Destiny, and then you answer it. Andrew.
Destiny told his co-host, when asked point blank if he wanted the bullet to kill Trump, that the worst thing that could have happened was the bullet missing. He said this to Pisco. I watched it, okay? This guy's an obfuscation machine. And you know what else, Destiny? Why should we believe you? I think you are glad Kirk is dead. And all of your tweets seem to prove that. And you would have been happy if Trump was assassinated. You've made that very clear. So why not just be truthful for once in your fucking life and say the truth, that you don't care that Kirk is dead, and you're actually probably glad he is. Isn't that really what's true?
I don't want anybody in this country to die to political violence. I don't think in the United States of America that should be happening. I don't know why it's so hard for the president to say the same. I think it'd be the easiest thing in the world as a president. Biden did it for 4 years. That's why everything was way cooler when he was here, like in terms of temperature. The Clintons have no problem saying it. Barack Obama has no problem saying it. Kamala Harris has come out and said it. Every Democratic lawmaker and leader has basically come out and said it. But for some reason on the Republican side, it's just civil war, civil war, civil war. And the Republican president of the United States, who has presided over more violence politically in this country, more large protests than any president in all of U.S. history, for some reason can't bring himself to say, all of us need to calm down. And
So
until
did
that
Trump
happens,
deserve
there's no
the
reason for
bullet?
anyone allowed to say it.
Did Trump deserve the bullet?
This is all you care about are the political hit jobs.
Just
It's
answer
actually
the
insane
question,
to me.
bro. Did
It's so
Trump
insane
deserve
to
the
me.
bullet?
Did Donald Trump
Did he deserve
disavow
the
violence
bullet?
on his side ever? Did Donald Trump
Answer
disavow
the
violence on his
question.
side
Did
ever?
Trump deserve the bullet?
You can't answer the question. We're here to play.
No, bro,
to
it's
find
my turn
tweets
to ask
and
the
YouTube
question.
video
It's your
clips.
turn to answer.
It's
Did
YouTube video
Trump deserve
clips.
the
and it's-
bullet?
Did Trump disavow violence in this country ever?
Did he deserve the bullet? Yes, he's
Answer my
disavowed
question, I'll
violence.
answer you.
But again, I just did. Now your turn. Now your
not just
turn.
on the radical
It's your
left.
turn.
Did Donald Trump?
Did
then
Trump
no,
deserve the bullet?
I never said that. No, I never said that. No.
Okay, except you did to your co-host.
No,
You
I
said,
didn't. Oh, wait. When did
your
Donald Trump
exact
disavow?
words-
Wait. When did
You-
Donald Trump
your
disavow all
exact
violence
words
in this
to your
country?
co-host, you lying sack of shit. If he wanted
I'm the lying
to
sack
kill
of
Trump,
shit?
the
No
worst
way.
thing that could have happened
Donald Trump
was the
disavowed
bullet
all
missing.
political violence. And
That's what you
this,
said,
And this is
bro.
yeah. And this is where when
You're the
you're
biggest
putting
lying sack of
YouTubers when
shit,
you're putting YouTubers and tweeters on the same level as the president of the United States. This is why conservatives are absolutely brain broken when it comes to violence in this country. And that's why it'll continue.
But
There'll be more
Destiny-
deaths.
but Destiny-
Maybe it'll be me at the next time. Who
Destiny-
knows? There'll be
Well,
more
I do
people
agree
who
you
die,
want it to
and
continue.
you guys are all
Destiny-
going to turn around and be like, I can't believe it. What's going on? What's happening here?
Okay,
Yeah.
Destiny, if you care so much about political violence in America, why don't you lead the way yourself without
can't,
mentioning
because
anybody
one
else?
side-
Why don't
because
you?
one side-
Why don't
I don't think Pierce has been listening to Destiny's claim. He's basically stating, like, why would he, one YouTuber, try to disavow violence or political violence again for like the umpteenth time for Piers Morgan when no one else on the right is not doing it? First, let's hear these individuals say, I disavow violence. Why is the hyper focus
you,
on
Destiny, right now just outright condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Because we've been doing that for a decade. One side can't
You can't do it,
turn
can
down
you?
the temperature.
You can't
The other
do
side
it.
can't turn down the temperature. If Donald Trump can't, then the left shouldn't until he does.
Got it.
Republicans
Okay, you don't want to do
need
it.
accountability
Okay,
for
Jack-
their actions. They need some responsibility for the insanity.
He had
they
it coming,
caused.
didn't
Even though
he,
you've
Destiny?
taken on
He had
yourself.
it coming.
Let me bring in Jack Posobiec.
We absolutely,
All right,
Democrats will
that's
take
enough,
accountability when
Destiny.
it's their
I'll bring
fault.
in Jack Posobiec.
Yeah,
Jack.
okay. Nice. Both sides it.
Jack.
Yeah.
What is your response to this?
I mean, Piers, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, this type of ideology where you've got someone who's willing to mock Erica, who's been standing strong for her family, for her children, who's just, she will never be able to grow old with Charlie. She will never be able to be with them again, have more children, to have grandchildren, to have those memories, to raise them. It's all gone.
Okay, all right. Put that on
Every
the
single
card.
moment of that future that they had was gone because someone fired a bullet at Charlie Kirk that said, "Hey, fascist, catch." And now you have people celebrating it.
And all of a sudden, that's a left problem. Like, I don't get it.
And when you ask people
That's
about
not even
it,
the
they
bullet
say,
that was fired.
"Oh,
How are you lying
oh,
about this?
Shut
even?
up, Destiny.
Holy
Shut
shit!
up.
You're so
Shut
shameless,
up.
dude. Oh my god! You're not even inside the right bullet. You're such a disgusting
Piers.
piece of shit. Holy fuck!
What a
Piers.
pedantic
Are we-
point. What a
are we
It's not
even gonna do
pedantic.
this?
This guy's a fucking professional
It's total
liar.
pedantry.
He's
It's
epic
total
and based.
pedantry. Total
This guy
pedantry.
probably.
I
I would like to let
Jesus.
Jack. I would like to let Jack finish his point, please.
Yeah, it's just a
and
little rant
they'll
here,
claim
yeah.
there's no leftist connection. They'll claim there's no there and then go so far as to lie and say there's some kind of Christian conservative connection when you could see the writing on.
You see how so far Destiny has been correct as far as the shooter coming from a Christian conservative home. So there's the first connection. The second connection that they cannot make is that this person was a leftist. And then Pierce says that the governor said he was radicalized by the left, but what was he radicalized into believing? Because there are also Republicans groupers, people, Christian conservatives groupers, who also don't agree with Charlie Kirk. You don't think that there aren't people on the right who disagree with Charlie Kirk, like
on the bullet casings. And so, these are very common symbols associated, whatever. The point is, right, it should be very, very clear. Are we connected with our humanity or are we not? And some people are willing to do that. And has
nobody's connected with humanity right now. Nobody.
been willing to do that.
Not in this godforsaken country. No, humanity's gone. It's been out the window for a good minute. People elected somebody who's going to rip the fucking humanity out of everybody again into office for the next 3 or 4 years. 3 years, right? God forbid the Democrats lose the fucking midterms or the primaries or midterms, whatever the fuck. You're going to see less and less and less and less humanity. That's literally the job of the president and the fucking conservatives right now, is to destroy and rip out fucking humanity. Every bad thing that happens in this country is because of conservative ideology. At the end of the fucking day, you can have one individual talking about free Palestine and shooting people outside of a committee that could be condemned by both right and the left. You can have school shooters that could be condemned by both right that could be done by the right say thoughts and fucking prayers, and every time the Democrats would say thoughts and fucking prayers, but let's also talk about gun control. The right says, well, this is not about guns. This is not about guns. God forbid they find out that Judah was a trans, just so happens to be a trans. Now it's gender dysphoria, but we can talk about gender dysphoria, but we can't talk about guns. Like, this is the stupid shit. Why would anybody want to actually agree with anything that anybody on this panel has to say about fucking the left has to do this when it's been consistently, people on the right has been consistently saying and doing the same heinous shit over and over and over and over and over and over and over again with no fucking consequences, because the big guy in charge is the big one. Donald Trump, the person doing it the most, is in charge. They are emboldened. People like Jack Kirby, whatever the fuck his name is, is emboldened. These are crocodile fucking tears. Maybe he does feel away, but I don't feel no sympathy for him. I feel nothing for him. Like, he's your fucking mouthpiece right now. Andrew Wilson, he doesn't give a fuck about Charlie's death. He's literally weaponized this. He's literally weaponizing. If anybody's weaponizing Charlie Kirk's death, it's definitely Andrew Wilson sitting on this fucking panel right now. He doesn't care. He just has a gotcha against the left. He'll take any fucking I gotcha. And his gotcha isn't even verified by actual fucking facts. But it's a gotcha nonetheless that he believes that he has. Anna Kasparian is getting bullied. She's been getting bullied from the very fucking start by Andrew Wilson. Now she's trying to find a spot where she doesn't have to argue anymore. She calls fucking Destiny disgusting for not, outright condemning something. Who the fuck are we in society to fucking force people to do things these days? People should have to just want to do it because they want to fucking do it, right? They have no proof of him advocating for political violence. Just because I won't say that if Donald Trump was to get assassinated, and I don't say, man, it's a bad thing that he got assassinated, or man, I feel bad, or I condemn it, doesn't mean I wanted it to fucking happen. There's two different fucking things here. Just because he doesn't want to condemn something doesn't mean he wanted it. That's completely different. You are talking to the wrong person right there.
We've done shows together. They've been fine. They've been good. We've jousted. We've done the back and forth. Destin and I in the past have had shows together where before he kind of took this turn, and you think there are people who can just be willing to stand up for humanity.
Jack, it reminds me a bit of the journey I've gone on, very different circumstances, but the Israel-Hamas war. The reason I asked everybody on the pro-Palestinian side for months after the war started, do you condemn what Hamas did, is I think it was very enlightening as to the humanity of the person by how they responded. If their immediate response was, of course I do, the mass murder of civilians on October the 7th was a horrendous atrocity, then we can move on to an intellectually honest debate. If they refuse to condemn what Hamas did, it's a completely different debate. And similarly, right now, I feel if you can't condemn a lot of what the IDF are doing, frankly, it's my opinion, in Gaza, then the same thing. If you're unequivocally like, it's all fine with 20,000 plus kids being killed, then I've got a problem.
Like everybody on the right has been saying.
With that too. But I do think you've got to try and maintain in all of these debates a modicum of humanity about people who are actually being killed. And what is terrifying about the mindset of a lot of people on the woke left I've seen since Charlie Kirk's death is the brazen glee that they're taking to his murder.
Because they don't care. They don't give a shit. The guy was a piece of shit. Let's be honest. Charlie Kirk was not a good person. Like you've had a bunch of people who are on the right like paint this picture of this white Martin Luther King. He wasn't a good person. He said some bad shit to a lot of bad people, a lot of bad fucking communities. It's like he said a lot of heinous shit. Just because you sat there, just because Anna Kasparian was allowed to sit next to Charlie Kirk and have an actual fucking discussion doesn't make what Charlie Kirk says impactful. Maybe she doesn't give a fuck like everybody else does, but those average Joes that you're saying, oh, they're so gleeful about it. It's because when you say stupid shit and you say bad shit to people, when you say heinous shit to people that cause them fucking harm, and then you die, do not expect those same people to not want to spit on your fucking grave. Period. When you give the world what they perceive, like you are what you perceive. If you're this monster, hateful, ideological son of a bitch, and when you die, don't expect people to be like, oh my God, I'm so sad for him and his family. No, because you didn't give a fuck about the anti-trans rhetoric that you was pushing and peddling, the misogynistic shit that you was pushing and peddling, all this other shit. Don't expect people to give a fuck about you. It's Kevin Samuels all over again. when you're a bad person and you die, people who think you're a bad person are not going to give a fuck about your feelings or the feelings of your relatives. Period, point blank. And this motherfucker next to Pierce can have that stupid crybaby face all day, but that's the facts.
And then when I see even Destiny, who's a very well-followed person on the internet, well-known, when Destiny, frankly, if you can't bring yourself just to say the murder was horrific and should never have happened.
He just
it's a very
did.
simple sentence.
He did twice.
That's basic.
He's just not saying it the way you want him to say it.
Humanity. It really makes me despair for where everything is going, because it's indicative of the mindset of, I can't give an inch to my political opponents, therefore I lose my humanity. How can that be right?
Because you can't give an inch to political opponents that won't recognize or acknowledge anything they've done is wrong. It's all it's done is gotten us here. This is where we're at because of that exact mindset. Will any of the conservatives here acknowledge the conservative that murdered Melissa Hortman and her husband and shot the other senator in Minnesota?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
That it was a conservative shooter? That it was a conservative shooter?
I don't know the details on that particular case. If I did, and it turned out that it was the case, of course, I would say that such violence should be disavowed. Thing is, you can't hold your entire moral standard based on what you think Trump is doing or not doing. What does that have to do with you, Destiny? It has nothing to do with you. You can easily just say, you can lead by example and say, let's all tone down the violence.
You can't lead by
That's
example.
what you
I'm not
want,
the president
right?
of the United States. That's what Democrats have been.
Literally, his fucking position is tone down the fucking violence. What he's telling you is that he's not going to actively say it when the president of the United States is not going to do it, because it's not going to fucking matter when you have individuals like Sam Hyde running around there saying, hey, I'm advocating for violence. We have Jesse Waters saying it's a fucking civil war or some shit like that. And like, you have people like literally saying the most diabolical shit, and then people like Anna Conspiracy on this fucking panel like cooking to this shit. Like, such a bitch. It's like at this point, it's like, yo, I get sick and tired of watching the same shit. Say something. Like, dude, you can't just be sitting there cooked all the fucking time because somebody you're afraid to talk to somebody who's going to be young.
Wait, you can't lead by example because you're not the president? That's the stupidest thing I've heard.
He's a fucking YouTuber. At the end of the day, he's a YouTuber. At the end of the day, he's a YouTuber. You might not believe this, but outside of the internet, for people who don't engage in political politics online, they don't know who he is. Period, point blank. So him sitting on this fucking show and disavowing or saying, I condemn the assassination of Charlie Kirk means diddly shit. Number one, it's not going to bring him back. Number two, nobody relevant is going to hear about it because all of us care about. I don't give a fuck what Andrew Wilson feels about it. I don't give a fuck what Anna Kasparian feels about it. I don't give a fuck about what Piers Morgan feels about it. I don't give a fuck about what that guy feels about it. I give a fuck about the people that I helped put in office feel about it. The lawmakers, the legislators. I want the officials that we put in the offices. I want to know what my president of the United States feels about it. What YouTubers feel about it, that's their own opinions, and those are their own fights to have, and we can argue about their morality some other time. But I don't need a fucking answer from a Destiny or from an Andrew Wilson about how I feel about something. That's what everybody here is missing. That's what they're missing here. We don't need the shit. We don't need it from YouTubers. We need it from political officials. We don't need that shit. The left has condemned it. The right has condemned it, but they also blame the left. The fucking president of the United States came out and said, hey, this is because of the left. Literally. And every prominent person who's on television has specifically said, hey, this is his wife did it. Like, come on, bro. Let's be fucking...
If one side wants to fight and the other side doesn't, then you're going to fight. One side can't decide not to fight, but the other side decided to.
What does that have
What
to
do you
do
mean
with
it
you?
makes no
You
sense?
can-
If
you
some
can
guy comes up to
easily-
you to
you
fight,
can easily
and the
just
other
say it
side
now,
says, I don't
Destiny.
want to, you don't really have the choice there. It's
Lead
that's
by
how fighting
example,
works.
then. Lead by
You can't lead
example
by
and show
example.
us.
That's called dying.
You can.
Actually,
Right now,
I
do it
thought,
right
I
now.
actually
Do
thought,
it right
I
now.
actually
That's part
thought,
of
let me
self-defense.
jump in.
Because you're actually happy
Let me
about
jump
it,
in
Destiny.
here.
Just be
I
honest,
actually,
you're happy
I actually
about it.
felt that Anna hit the nail on the head here, which is she did not need to wait for Donald Trump to comment on this to make her own mind up about what had happened. That is intellectual honesty, right? Yes, it may have been somebody that she totally disagreed with on many issues. The simple, humane thing to do with any event like this is to ask yourself, how do I personally feel about it? Not what does Donald Trump think about it, or what does Joe Biden think about it, or what does Timbuktu think about it. It's what do I personally feel about this. It didn't take me very long, Destiny, to understand that I felt repulsed by the execution of somebody in cold blood with his wife and 2 young children there watching. It's a human reaction. I don't need to know what Donald Trump thinks about it at all. I don't understand why you need to wait for him before your own humanity
I don't need to wait
kicks
for
in.
anybody. No, you're not asking how we feel about it. You're asking what the public statements should be. And the public statements should be the President of the United States.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No,
you're
I'm
asking
not.
me for a public statement
I'm
right
asking,
now.
where is your humanity? You can't just say the murder was
Where is your humanity,
wrong.
Piers? You guys are playing into this exactly. I think you probably know it. I think Cornell was right about this. You know where your bread is buttered as well. You guys play into this. It's insane to me that the President of the United States can't say, hey, all of us need to be less violent. We all need to calm the fuck down. That the President of the United States can't say this, but you will endlessly scour Twitter and YouTube for leftists to bring on and say, don't you guys disavow the violence? It's absolutely absurd to me.
You know, Cornel West should have stayed in his seat. We were debating free speech, actually, and whether
You're not debating free speech. It's not
let
even
me
an
finish.
equivalent
Let me
conversation,
finish,
Piers.
and whether the
It's insane.
overuse of words like Hitler, Nazis, and fascists was actually empowering deranged young minds to think they were battling actual new Hitler, Nazis, and fascists. And actually, when Andrew pointed out to Cornell that he had used the phrase neo-fascist about Trump, that's when Cornell decided he couldn't take part in the debate anymore, when he was reminded of something he had said. He didn't try and deny it. He just said, I don't want to have this debate, and left.
Piers, how long have you been in the United States, like following our politics?
Over 20 years, I've lived and worked in America.
Okay, if you've lived and worked in America, I grew up as a conservative listening to Rush Limbaugh and to Glenn Beck and to Billy Cunningham and to Sean Hannity. You're going to sit here and pretend like Democrats are the ones that started the name calling? I heard them call Obama and the Clinton socialists and communists.
When did I say that?
I heard them call... I'm just saying, why are we pretending that some people...
I'm saying, why would Cornel West...
household?
Why would Cornel West walk out on a debate when we're literally talking about the importance of speech? Makes no sense to me.
If speech is important, then the president should exercise it more cautiously.
So should you.
And Republicans have been... You can't stop
You've got millions of followers.
Stop asking for a fucking YouTuber to fucking do that shit, Piers. I don't think Piers is getting it. You want everybody... Listen, after this show is over, everybody's gonna go back to their fucking corners. Anna's gonna have that stupid weird face on, but that's disgusting. Andrew Wilson's gonna recede back into the darkness. He's gonna cry somewhere, and Piers Morgan's gonna go on another show, and Destiny's gonna go on a fucking live, and everybody's gonna say the same shit. We're gonna go back to normal, because at the end of the day, when we're talking about politics, and you're listening to Destiny, or you're listening to the Live and Learn bullshit, or even if you're watching Piers Morgan, these are just opinions that you're expressing. People are listening, and people are just trying to, harvesting what they're hearing right now. But the voice that really matters are the ones coming from elected officials, the actual people who are going to be involved in the lawmaking, the ones who are actually going to be given microphones to speak to the public, to the masses. People who are actually looking for answers, people going to town halls. Those are the opinions that really fucking matter, and I feel like Piers is missing that. He's missing that big time. Like when it comes to the YouTubers, the Hutches, the Destinys, I listen to them. The Piscos. When it comes to the other side, I listen to Piers Morgan. Pretty much just Piers Morgan. Everybody else is just too fucking far, too fucking gone. But I don't know, man. I feel as if this is just hand-wringing bullshit. It's just stupid. At the end of the day,
you think it's fine to show them you're mocking a widow?
You cannot choose for your opponent not to fight you.
Fine.
If Republicans won't turn down the rhetoric, then who cares? Donald Trump shouldn't have used the rhetoric that led her to being killed. 2 days before she dies,
Donald Trump mocked a grieving widow?
This is all. It's just virtue signaling. You guys are excited about it. You guys love it.
How is it? How is it that you said this guy can't possibly be a leftist?
It's exciting to you. It's insane to me.
See. Andrew Wilson's going to focus on what was said about 5 minutes ago.
How is it that you said this guy can't be a leftist because he grew up in a white Christian household when you grew up in a white Christian household by your own admission just now and you're a fucking leftist, Destiny?
I'm
Can you explain that
36
to me?
years old. This guy was 22, and he lived at home
What does that have to do
basically
with
his entire
anything?
life.
What does that have to do with
Because
anything?
I had 20 years to separate myself from my parents' ideology. I didn't live with them still. Jesus.
So 6 months, 1 year, 20 years? Why does it matter how long it took to separate? You just got to say it was impossible, and you yourself are a leftist who grew up in a Christian conservative household, dude. You're the worst hypocrite I've ever seen.
Hold on,
You're the
I'm
worst
sorry.
hypocrite.
You think that a 22-year-old has as much time to separate himself from the ideology that he grew
Did
up
I
with
say
as
that?
a 36-year-old?
Didn't say
Yeah,
it.
you just made
It's
the
a
comparison,
pedantic,
dipshit.
stupid
Of course
point.
you did. It's not
Let me
pedantic.
ask,
I made the comparison
You're
that a
completely
person can be
on the subject.
radicalized.
What a
Look at
stupid
you.
point.
Let me
You're the
jump
most
in.
radicalized
Let me
fucking
jump in. Let me jump in. Let me ask Jack. Jack, you know the Kirk family well. You've been around the Kirk family, I think, since this appalling murder has happened. When you hear Destiny saying, "Who cares?" about the fact that he openly, publicly mocked Erica Kirk, a grieving widow, within literally a day or two of her husband being murdered. How does that make you feel as a friend of the family?
Piers phrasing.
It's very angry, Piers, you know. And here's the thing is she's seeing all of it. She's going to see all of it. Her kids are going to watch this video one day. It's just, that's sort of the nature of reality now. They will see all of this and they will see the reaction. And I just hope that those of us who knew Charlie, worked with Charlie, who knew Charlie beyond, you know.
DJ, you also want to understand that they're probably going to they're going to see the reasons why people don't like him in the first place, as well, so long as they're not poisoned or brain rotted into seeing that people are like, what did Daddy say? They're going to go up and say, what did Daddy say to make people not like him so much? And they're actually going to find out, and they're going to be like, oh, well, shit.
You know, TikToks and short videos can also be there for those kids as they grow up to let them know who their dad was.
And kids are going to grow up and watch old episodes of Piers Morgan uncensored. How performative is this? Is everybody here? Did we all get like a script before the show? What?
They watch a lot of episodes of the JFK.
Oh, Anna, can Anna drop it?
So bad, and you don't even
like nobody cares. Nobody's just gonna be like, oh my god, you're so disgusting, you're so nasty, you're an embarrassment to the left, blah blah blah.
even realize.
You're not even you're independent.
I said you are seriously so embarrassing.
Okay, yeah.
God.
You can talk.
It's like she's embarrassed because she doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of her friends. You have this grieving widow, Jack right here, or John, whatever his fucking name is.
Your best friend.
You really
Glenn
are.
Beck about
I mean,
it
like,
later, you know, have
do you
another
feel
30-minute conversation about it, Anna.
Maybe I
Talk about
will.
how
Maybe
the
I will
mean
talk to
wokies
Glenn
on-
Beck about
on
it.
Twitter
Oh, is
are
that
bullying you about it.
is that naughty? Is it
How
naughty
many
to have
conversations have you had with
people
Nick?
across the aisle?
You had more conversations with Nick than anyone.
So mean. Oh no, not the meanies on Twitter.
Anna,
How many
finish
more
your point.
lawsuits are you going to face from women that you allegedly secretly recorded during intimate moments, Destiny? I can't believe anyone takes you seriously.
Are you really?
You're
You want to
disgusting.
pull out Twitter?
You're embarrassing, and you should be shunned from public life with your disgusting treatment of all sorts of people, including young left-wing girls, women that you victimized allegedly.
I can't believe Anna went there. You know when somebody has, when a rat's cornered and like a rat has nothing else to do but to bare its little tiny teeth and its little tiny claws and start scratching at whatever the fuck it can scratch at. That's what Anna's doing right now. It's fucking crazy that you would use that without any proper context of it, not knowing what's going on. It's fucking crazy to me.
Oh, in the window. You're
that's who
you're
you
like
are.
2 shades away from being
You're
a Fox News host,
embarrassing.
Anna.
You
Keep
embarrass the
going. You
left.
got
You're
it.
the
Go get
type of
go get
person
some
who
lip
pushes
filler there.
people
You got
away
it,
from
dude.
the
You're
left.
so close,
Make
Anna.
sure you understand that. You're
Yep.
embarrassing. There's no morality
What is he embarrassing? Himself? Like what?
with you. There's no grounding
Absolutely
values.
not.
There's
Of
no
course
principles.
not, yeah.
All you want is attention, 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 attention. That's all you
Absolutely,
want.
yeah, of course.
That's all
Well,
you
you
want.
and Jen talking
Endless
about how
attention.
9/11 was
Say
caused by the
disgusting,
Jews, and you have
provocative
another
garbage.
friendly
You want
conversation with
attention.
another mainstream conservative commentator about how you're such a leftist, but those people on Twitter are so mean.
Having a debate or dialogue doesn't automatically mean that you agree with everything they have to say. It means you're coming
No, it's
together
when you sit down and you
you're
agree with
exchanging
everything they have to
ideas
say.
and
Then
debating
everything they have
them.
to say.
No, I don't agree with everything they have to
You
say.
do.
What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, you do.
I
Of
don't
course
agree
you
with
do. What
everything
do you
they have
mean?
to say. But I'm
When
an
you
adult.
sit down and
I
all
can
of your
sit down and
criticisms
have a
are
mature
for the
debate
left,
or conversation.
and you have no disagreements about anything on the right, yeah, that's called
I do
agreement.
have
as usual
criticisms
we
for the
call it.
left. I have tons of criticisms for the right. tons of criticisms. I'm obviously
they don't seem to come out
pro-choice,
much
for
when you're
instance.
talking to
I
your
obviously have a
conservative
huge
friends. Oh, the big
problem
guns, yeah.
with the unending, unmitigated support for Israel, regardless of the genocide they're engaging in. I have all sorts of disagreements with the right. That doesn't mean I'm going to dehumanize them and cheer on the slaughter of my fellow Americans because we have disagreements on politics. You're
I
embarrassing.
wish anybody here had the same energy for the president of the United States, but that's good. I'm glad you guys are focused where it really counts on Twitter and
Dude,
YouTube.
you
which
have
is where the
like
conservatives want you to be
TDS,
focused
like
on, you know?
you are like the prototype
TDS,
of TDS.
yeah, there it
It's
comes, yeah.
unbelievable.
Oh, the
You
TDS,
wake up every
yes.
morning and you decide your
Yes,
behavior is going
true.
to hinge on Trump.
Tell me more
Who
about the
are you as
dancing
an
Israelis
individual?
and Building
God, have
7
a little bit
and
of
how
humanity.
the Jews all knew about 9/11
You're a
and they all want us to go to war
You're
in the
a
Middle East. Yeah, of course.
sociopath.
I'm
Let me
I
bring
never
in-
once said the
Okay.
Jews
Let me
were
bring in
behind
Jack
9/11.
again.
Not
Let me-
once. Don't make things up, you disgusting prick.
Let me
That's
bring
okay,
in
don't
Jack
worry.
again. Let me bring in Jack again. Jack, Peter Navarro earlier was talking about directly to Elon Musk about, in his view, the urgent need for Elon Musk to detoxify X.
That's funny as hell. I've had enough of this. That's crazy. That is crazy.
George Aberonye reportedly posted several, he didn't reportedly, he did post several comments in a WhatsApp group appearing to celebrate the murder of Charlie Kirk. One said, Charlie Kirk got shot. Let's fucking go. Another one was, I think, LOL. This guy is going to be the president of the Oxford Union Debating Society. And yet he is celebrating the murder of somebody he literally...
Okay, I'm done with this. Like, literally, Charlie Kirk was a bad person. At the end of the day, Charlie Kirk was not a good person. I don't know why they try to frame it as... I understand why they're trying to frame it. They got to do it. It's their job. But Charlie Kirk was not a good person. He was not liked by everybody. And this happens when you're not liked and you die a person nobody likes, and you've died a person that said a lot of bad shit to people. So this is what fucking happens to you. People are going to ridicule you. People are going to spit on your grave. People might just dance on your grave when you've behaved a certain way. You can't force anybody to be something that they're not. Literally fucking. Like, literally, I don't want people like Charlie Kirk to die. But I'm not going to go on TikTok and make videos condemning people for making videos of him either mocking his death, laughing about his death, celebrating his death, mocking his wife. Absolutely fucking not. Charlie, what you do in life, what you do now in life is going to define you when you die. So if you are a hateful person and spread hateful ideology when you're alive, and you take that to the grave, understand that that is who you are to the majority of the fucking world. Your supporters, your supporters and people who believe in the same shit like you will adore you. But the people that you've hurt with your rhetoric will fucking despise you and probably dance on your grave. That is reality. This whole fucking panel has lost that fucking point. At the end of the day, you are who you die as. You lived long enough to be a fucking villain. And he died, the villain. That's the problem. They're like asking streamers to fucking I think whenever this temperature is not going to come down until we focus it on the right people. Focusing on giving a shit about what a left winger or a right winger on YouTube has to say versus somebody on a Fox or CNN, somebody who actually reaches to like the masses, or talking to officials. When you have officials not even bringing the fucking temperature down at this point, nobody wanted to see that shit. But I'm not going to sit here and condemn people for dancing or praising or whatever the fuck they want to do. That's on them. Charlie Kirk was not a good person at the end of the day. Period. Point blank. So us running around here pretending as if we should be feeling sad for Charlie Kirk or feel sad for his family. Some people do, some people don't. He wasn't a good person. Personally, I feel bad that he's gone. I do feel bad for his family. But if somebody else doesn't, because of the shit that he said in the communities that he's harmed with his rhetoric, I'm not going to tell them how to feel. You can go fuck off with that. Like, if you feel the way you feel. Anna's fucking